Let me remind you that this conference call is being recorded, and after that, it will be posted in our social media networks. Also, after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. You're welcome to use your Q&A form here in Zoom, and the presentation in both languages, English and Russian, was posted in our social media and also circulated by email to our subscribers. Now, I think we can get down to the core thing, to the presentation of today's call. Tatyana, over to you. Hello, dear participants of our conference call. Karen, thanks for introduction. Indeed, I'm still Tatyana Budei, and I'm still CFO here at Uzbek Steel, and today I will be happy to take you through our 2022 IFRS financial statements. And also, I will be happy to update you on the additional share issue and also briefly touch upon our Q2 2023 performance under the National Accounting Standards. As promised, we try and make this sort of investor and analyst call on a regular basis. So after my presentation, you will have an opportunity to ask your questions if you have any by that point in time. Now, before we proceed, let me remind you that during today's presentation, I may be making some forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties, so please direct your attention to slide 2, explaining risks related to such forward-looking statements in terms of operating and financial performance. Now, let me move on to slide 3 for our achievements and highlights year to date. Uzbek Steel has secured a record high revenue in 2022 and a second high net income over the recent decade. Please see our IFRS statements for details, and our IFRS statements have been published for the 4th year in a row, by the way. Also, we're done with our additional share issue to materially strengthen our balance sheet in view of the upcoming FPO, and also for additional debt to be raised to finance our CAPEX plan. The implementation of our CAPEX plan, in particular the construction of cast and rolling complex, is fully on track, just like we announced a year ago. We reiterate that our plan to double our production capacity towards the year end 2025 is still intact. Also, as you may know, recently we've entered into an agreement with Citibank to raise an unsecured, unguaranteed loan to the tune of $100 million. The money will be used to finance our working capital and also to refi our outstanding liabilities. Our financial metrics for Q2 2023, just like expected, have improved in terms of the pace and trend. In particular, we got back to 100% capacity utilization after the harsh weather conditions and power outages early in the year, where shipments of our finished products were materially affected. Jointly with international experts, with Western experts, we are developing our long-term sustainability program. We are done with resource efficiency audit and earmarked priority projects to focus going forward. Slide 4, key highlights for 2022 under the IFRS. I think most of you will know the facts and numbers. Just to repeat, in 2022, Uzbek Steel operated at full swing thanks to our work, demand, and strong pricing. 2022 was record high in terms of revenue and net income over the recent decade. Lower margins as compared to 2020 were expected because costs increased, strengthened following finished product pricing, so we started actively upgrading and expanding our production capacity, which doubled our capital expenditures, but at the same time, we managed to keep our leverage within the comfortable level. It's 1.5, the leverage. Um, the year 2022 may be characterized as a year of capex and also a year of sales success. Um, Details on the first half year 2023 will follow. Now, the additional share issue that we're done with. See slide 5, please. As you know, the supervisory board here at Uzbek Steel met on the 10th of March 2022 to resolve on the additional share issue of ordinary and preferred shares at the price of 8,959 sums and 2,820 sums, respectively. The Uzbek Fund for Reconstruction and Development, UFRD, the largest sovereign investment fund in the country, uh, purchased all the preferred shares and also part of the ordinary shares. Funds to the tune of 140 million euros from the UFRD had already been received by the company at an earlier point in time, and at the registration of the deal, they were reclassified from accounts payable to the company's authorized capital. Minority investors had an opportunity to purchase shares pro rata their holdings. The share of the state did not change, but the holding was transferred from SAMA to ASR, Agency for Strategic Reforms, which better fits the profile of the governmental agency. Uh, Let me stress that the key task of the additional share issue to help Uzbek Steel strengthen its balance sheet, in particular, boost equity authorized capital to open up new opportunities to subsequently raise debt, and we tackled this task successfully. Before I move to specific operating and financial performance metrics, let me remind you of our equity story highlights. We are the largest integrated roll steel producer in Uzbekistan, with 90% of our sales being local bound. We sell 10% of our products to the CIS countries and also the European Union. In 2022, we established our own sales outpost in the European Union to get closer to our European buyers. Regardless of some modest output, around 1 million tons per year, we were able to meet just a third of the growing demand in Uzbekistan for steel in 2022. This makes us ever confident about the outlook of our sales market, but also this helped us launch an ambitious investment program with a capex plan to double our production capacity and output towards the year in 2025, when the new cast and rolling complex is on stream. Uzbekistan boasts a favorable regulatory environment because it is one of the priorities for our government to develop and upgrade the local steelmaking industry. As a measure to support key market players, Uzbek Steel boasts exclusive rights to collect scrap metal in Uzbekistan, and this gives us some 80% of our feedstock. Uzbek Steel has a solid financial base. For 2 years in a row, we have been setting revenue records. Our gross profit margin is in excess of 20% for a second year in a row, so this makes us optimistic about the outlook and the outlook of growth and development of Uzbek Steel. Now, source of this growth, and just a couple of words about the progress of our CRC project, Cast and Rolling Complex. Please refer to slide 7. Here you can see pictures of construction in progress as at autumn 2022 and spring 2023. The progress is noticeable with an untrained eye. After we're done with the construction, our production capacity is set to double from 1.1 million tons currently to to more than 2 million tons per annum towards the end of 2025. Importantly, we plan to start launching the CRC in phases as early as in 2024. Projected budget of the project is around 730 million euros. As at the end of July 2023, I have invested 410 million euros, including 98 million euros from our own cash. We are going to keep financing the project through a mix of our own cash and debt raised from local and global banks. Now our financial metrics for Q2 2023 in accordance with the national accounting standards. To remind you, early in the year, due to power outages and harsh weather conditions, shipments of finished products were hampered. So in Q1 2023, our sales and revenue dropped on a year-on-year basis. However, as you can see by the numbers of Q2 2023, Uzbek Steel was able to recover utilization rate, and as a result, the revenue was down just 1% year-on-year. So we got back to 100% of capacity utilization, just like we expected and planned. However, due to higher electricity costs, we saw higher cost of sales. So gross profit and net income came in at slightly lower levels than last year. Details will follow. This slide shows key metrics for Q2 2023 and the first half year 2023 on a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So the Q2 2023 revenue of the company was down just 1% on a year-on-year basis. Higher cost of sales resulted in gross profit down 32% year-on-year, but it was up 20% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. In the first half year, we recognized the positive foreign currency translation difference as compared to a negative number in the same period last year, which is an effect of changes in the FX liability mix. As a result of all those factors, net income of the company in Q2 2023 was down 25% year-on-year. But this was, in fact, an improvement in pace and trend, because net income in the first quarter 2023 was down 41% on a year-on-year basis. So in Q2 2023, we're better off on a year-on-year basis in these terms. Since the events that affected our financial metrics in the first quarter were largely one-off, we expect to get positive financial performance in the second half year 2023. Page 10, our loan portfolio and amortization schedule, our traditional slide. Now, recently, we've announced a bilateral loan from Citibank London to the tune of $100 million. This is an important milestone on Uzbek Steel track record. This partly reaffirms our investment potential and also strengthens our relations with international financial institutions. The money is going to be used to refi the outstanding debt commitments, to reduce finance expenses, and also to find out working capital. To wrap my presentation up, I would like to comment on our immediate plans in a couple of words. Our priority is still to boost our production capacity, and our plans are to invest around 240 million euros in the current year. Improving corporate governance and nominating independent directors is another priority task for our supervisory board. As we're done with the additional share issue and our authorized capital is stronger, we are fully ready for an FPO on the Tashkent Stock Exchange, and we're going to do this in 2023. It is important for us to get our Fitch rating affirmed. However, this year we're also going to complete procedures to get our first ESG rating. Talking about financial performance, we are back to 100% utilization capacity starting Q2. We see strong demand for our products with relatively stable pricing. We keep working on cost of sales, and so we expect margins of Uzbek steel to improve as compared to numbers that we saw early in the year in Q1. Our liquidity position is still strong, and our leverage ceiling or target is still the same, to keep within 3.5 times EBITDA. So thanks for your time and attention. I will be happy to take your questions now. Karen, let's start our Q&A session. Karen, yeah, Tatiana, thanks a lot for an informative presentation. Let me remind all the participants that you're welcome to ask your questions in the Q&A form. You are free to post your names or come up as anonymous users, and I will help you reading out the questions. So please do not hesitate to ask your questions. While you're typing, let me come up with the first question. Now, that's about dividend payments. Our contact persons often ask this question. Could you please shed some light on the timeline according to which Uzbek still is going to deliver to all the plans? According to the law, we have 2 months to pay out our dividend. We have quite a few shareholders, basically thousands of shareholders, so we are paying the dividend out incrementally as respective applications are coming in. So we are going to complete the procedure in the timeline prescribed by the law. Karen, thank you. Also, let me remind you that there are preferences related to the application, so please take care of this while filing your applications, include your bank details. Now, let me start reading the participants' questions. The first one is really important. What does Uzbek Steel do to avoid electricity outages going forward? Tatyana Budei, thank you for your question. Now, first of all, as I mentioned, Uzbek Steel is done with resource efficiency audit, and we pinpointed a few priority projects that will help us reduce electricity consumption here at Uzbek Steel, and also for ancillary production facilities, for office premises, for amenities. We are implementing a project to install solar panels to reduce electricity consumption. And also, I mean, upon the whole, since in our production processes we use electric arc furnaces, which by definition needs quite a lot of electric power, hence our high electricity consumption. So we are now in negotiations with prospective suppliers of electricity. As you know, in Uzbekistan, they are now busy with a few projects that are being implemented in order to boost power generation locally. So I believe at this point in time, this is the information that you will be able to use to draw sufficient conclusions as far as our work to address electricity issues going forward are concerned. Our management team here at Uzbek Steel really understand the risks that we may face in terms of electricity supply, but the risks are manageable and managed. So our priority is not just to mitigate the risks, but also to reduce our electricity costs. Karen, thank you very much. Tatiana, it's really hard to add anything here because the government, the state, is still the main generator of electricity, so it's hard to add some capacities. Now, the next question, Uh, in May, it was said that Uzbek Steel considered a euro-denominated syndicated loan your Citibank loan. Does it mean that you are done with your plans to take out a syndicated loan, or do you still reiterate your syndicated loan plans? What is the possible timeline? Tatiana, this is a loan that is related to the construction of the custom rolling complex. Indeed, this is denominated in euros, and this is from a syndicate of European banks. In September, we're going to complete this transaction. This is totally separate and different from the Citibank loan, two different loans and two different purposes. The Citibank loan is, to remind you, to fund our working capital. And the syndicated loan that we're discussing with the syndicate of European banks is for our capex plan. So the expected timeline is September, but still, you know, since summer is a low season in Europe, like a period of vacations, Karen, yeah, sure, Claire, thank you. The next question is also that's about corporate governance. It's about um, your plans to nominate an independent director. What is the current stage of the process, and what could we expect at this point in time? Tatiana, well, as you know, nominating directors is um, a reserved matter of the um, annual general meeting. Earlier in the year, I I mentioned it already that the shareholder functions were transferred from the SAMA to the Agency for Strategic Reforms with the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan. So this new agency currently acts as our shareholder. So I think they will take some time to settle bureaucratic hoops and organizational matters. Um, mm, uh, mm, Certainly, in our consultations with the Agency for Strategic Reforms, this matter was mentioned as one of the core questions, one of the core matters. We can hardly influence the speed of this decision being made and implemented, but the ASR is more than well aware about the need to nominate an independent director. So I think the organizational procedures and hoops will take some time, but possibly this year we'll see candidates for independent directors on our board. Karen, thank you very much. Since this is a reserved matter of the AGM, I think all the shareholders will see official announcement of milestone down this process. Now, let me try and combine a few questions in one. So you expect to boost your production capacity through the CRC project. How are you going to sell your products? Which are um, competitive advantages, and do you need them to sell this volume? And could your sales geography change given the expansion and the other developments? Tatyana Budei, that's a very good one. That's a multifaceted question. Now, first of all, Uzbek Steel is focused on the local market, to remind you. Here, we see quite a good demand locally. In our nation, we do see um, a growth potential spearheaded by the construction boom, by infrastructure upgrades, by production capacity upgrades in other sectors of the economy. The product that, you know, the product that we're going to produce at the custom rolling complex is a new product for Uzbekistan. This is hot rolled sheet. So we're going to be the only producer of this product in Uzbekistan. So this is, in a way, a semi-product for subsequent production of cold rolled steel. Cold rolled steel sheets are used wherever, in construction, in automotive, you name it. So the theory of application is pretty wide, hence the demand. So talking about sales markets. In Uzbekistan, the reproduction capacities uh, owned by companies that use hot rolled steel in their production processes. Currently, they act as importers. Some import from Kazakhstan, some from Russia, to a lower extent, to a smaller extent already. So the product, the new product we're going to produce is well demanded already. So we are basically going to do some import substitution in terms of hot rolled steel, um, providing our own hot rolled steel sheets in the markets. And a competitive advantage of Uzbek steel is certainly the price, because any imports come in at quite high prices, because you've got to pay for your logistics costs, right? So being a local producer, we're going to be more attractive in terms of the price and also the quality. Here we have no single doubt that our product will meet international standards of quality. Karen, thank you very much. um, a few questions at a time about the foreign currency risks, given the recent movements of FX rates. Do you hedge your FX risks? How could the situation be affected by your new foreign currency denominated loans? And also a related question, how are you going to refinance your loans, since most of them are short term within 1 year, and do you have plans to refi the loans? Tatiana, let me start with the end of it. The loan portfolio that we've shown in the presentation, um, with maturities of within 1 year, um, basically this is why we have the Citibank loan. So we're going to partly use it to refi those short-term loans. So we are uh, we're well secured in terms of refinancing matters for at least a year. Talking about foreign currency risks, let me start answering the question, uh, mentioning that our share in sales local in Uzbekistan is around 30%. So a lot of steel products are imported here in our nation. So, so uh, Uzbekistan being geographically isolated, will still see strong correlations of steel pricing with global pricing, prices for steel. Um, so Uzbek steel products are priced in sums in the local currency, but still they're closely correlated to the FX denominated prices of steel globally. And we believe this strong link that helps us in fact hedge foreign currency risks related to FX rate movements. Um, Most of our expenses, um, meaning metal scrap, payroll, and so on, are denominated in sums in local currency. Karen, thank you very much for this holistic answer. Just a quick one. How do you affect pay rises for your employees? Maybe that one is coming from employees. Tatiana, well, obviously this is from our employees, so I think question is this question is rather for Uzbek Steel HR department, um, because people from the HR department will be able to give a more informative answer on HR policies, approaches, and in particular on pay levels and rises. This is certainly a sophisticated system. Um, People's salaries combine fixed and floating parts. Some of them are linked to KPIs. KPIs are different throughout the departments and teams within Uzbek Steel. These are dependent on the output and performance of Uzbek Steel. Also, there is a certification system for people to um, grow from grade to grade. So this is a sophisticated holistic system that can hardly be commented upon in a couple of words. We have a channel of communication for our people. We have a Telegram channel, we have a Telegram bot, we have a hotline, um, which our employees are free to use in case they have any questions, in particular on their pay rises, on their salaries. So they're free to ask those questions and get holistic answers for their questions. Because in general, it's really hard to uh, speculate on pay rises because this is quite a specific matter, and commenting upon it in general terms will hardly help because it will combine a lot of factors, a number of years with Uzbek steel performance and so on. Karen, a few questions on operating and financial performance. Now, is Uzbek steel using coal? Seems like uh, you don't use coal, do you? And the second question, how will the growth in production uh, affect or influence your margin, all other factors being intact? Tatiana, let's start with coal. We do use coal, but not indirectly. We don't throw it into the oven and we don't burn it there. We have we produce coke um, with the use of coal. Uh, this is a contemporary technology, a contemporary process. If need be, we are ready to make a dedicated press release on this cutting edge technology, talking about possible margin movements after new production comes in stream. Well, in general terms, certainly double production capacity will certainly help us improve margin metrics because fixed costs like general expenses will result in lower per unit levels. Certainly, this is not a linear dependency, but still doubling the production capacity will certainly positively influence the margins of Uzbek steel as a whole. Karen, thank you. Um, Talking about the core business of Uzbek steel, I think we're done with the questions. But there are obviously a lot of questions about FPO. When's it going to happen? What's the plans? What's the timeline? Um, shall they expect options for the management within the FPO? Maybe you start and then I follow. Tatiana, well, certainly, it's rather a question for you, Karen, most of it as our underwriter, talking about our viewpoint, just like we mentioned before, in particular earlier today, the expected timeline for an FPO is up till the end of this year, 2023. Currently, we keep working on corporate procedures, um, getting our corporate structure ready for the FPO. So we do not have to change massive volumes of corporate documents after the FPO. As soon as we know the answers for all the questions, as soon as we get all the corporate approvals, we will duly communicate it to the community. Karen, thank you, Tatiana. Let me add that um, for now, we are not considering options for the management, but this question is on the agenda. The management have been notified, the supervisory board too, but for now, uh, we, for the time being, we consider a regular FPO under the regulatory documents, ordinary shares for investors. In terms of the timeline, as Tatiana has mentioned, we've got to wait until the shareholder decides. Then we've got to wait until the necessary corporate documents are ready and approved, because transfers of social infrastructure will have to be transferred first, and so this will involve um, a few participants. So, however, talking about the company, the underwriter, and the stock exchange, these are ready for an FPO launch. So as soon as all the hoops are jumped, all the documents are approved, as soon as the supervisory board resolutions are ready, we will try and do this in the most in the smoothest way, so people are able to run their analysis and research, look into their presentations, secure their accounts, and so on. And so we hope this process will be smooth, and this will be an example for all the companies who will follow us as to how to jump the hoops, how to cross that pathway, and how to fill in the documents. Now, I hardly see any new questions coming in at this point of the call. Tatiana, should you wish to add something at this point, or have we really addressed everything? Tatiana, well, I think this is pretty much it as far as those questions are concerned that we wanted to announce today. Now, let me know that Uzbek Steel tries to uh, maintain an active communication stance, so to speak, in terms of um, corporate action disclosures, in terms of disclosing information to current shareholders and prospective investors on the processes and changes and events happening in the company. So I believe, I mean, even if we have missed something on this call, please do visit our website, our Telegram channel for further reference, for more information that you may find useful, and also uh, all all the stakeholders have an opportunity to contact us directly. So please do contact our press service, email us, and email any questions that you may have to us, and we'll try and revert as soon as possible with as complete answers as um, as we may get. So this is certainly not a last call, and we will see you again. We'll speak to you again. I think this volume of information is pretty much enough for a regular call. Now, a person repeats the question. This is capitalization of debt to the UFRD. I understand this is something that has recently happened. So there was that accounts payable to the UFRD, and then it was converted into authorized capital through the shares within this additional share issue. Do I get it right that there is no further debt to the UFRD? Tatiana, well, we still have some credit debt from the UFRD, but this is not related to capitalization. Capitalization or similar matters are not discussed in connection with that portion of debt. Karen, so please, for further details and clarifications, please do refer to the company's website, to the audit report, and to our financial statements. In case you have some further questions, in case you haven't heard an answer to a question that was interesting to you, please stay in touch, write to us, and we'll be happy to revert. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye.